Hello, my name is Terry Sager, and I'm reading one of my short stories this morning. The title of the story is The Chair. This time, I'm going to tell the truth as soon as I'm settled in my chair. Joe calls from the lobby to let Judy, our host, know we are on our way up, and to make sure my chair is ready for me. We ride the elevator in silence. Joe rings the doorbell of the Manhattan apartment, and within seconds, Judy opens the door and ushers us in. She says hello to Joe, places my hand on her arm, and guides me to a chair. And I sit. The chair is large and comfy. Judy fusses over me a few seconds and asks how I'm doing. I want to tell her, but I don't. Joe is still nearby. I can smell him. Someone guides my hand to a cold glass. I grip it, they leave. Joe's dry, snake-like hand pats the back of my other hand, which rests on the arm of the chair. I cringe. He tells me he's going to mingle and leaves. I realize I've been holding my breath. I exhale. I take a sip of the cold drink. Wine, nice. A cacophony of voices surrounds me. These days, since my blindness, I recognize them only by the sound of their voice or their scent. Some of them will come by my chair and impart an obligatory hello and get back to the party. Alice is here. I would know that cackle anywhere. It sideswipes me like a renegade wave. And Mason, his baritone voice, although grumbling about something or other, is somehow comforting. I have been invited to these gatherings for many years and am beginning to tire of them. Everybody loves Joe, the devoted son, who escorts me, his aging blind mother, to her much-loved events. No one knows the truth of it. It's a command performance, orchestrated by Joe. I'm not really blind, but Joe thinks I am. I can still see around the edges of my field of vision. The room is getting noisier, and the closeness of people is stifling. I take another sip of my drink. It's just a lot of silly people trying to make the connection that will change their future. Many of them think I can still do that for them. That's why they bother to say hello and enunciate, sometimes even spell, their name for me. Joe is just like them. At least this time my chair is comfortable and a bit out of the main flow of the comings and goings. However, I do seem to be a bit invisible to some. A bejeweled stiletto just tripped over my invisible foot. The wearer of that shoe said nothing to me, only chirped about how embarrassing it would have been if she fell. I, for one, could use a laugh about now. I wonder if she would have noticed if one of my orthopedic shoes, designed as a fashionable slipper, appeared in her path on purpose. Just saying, maybe. I have to get my kicks somehow. In any case, this is turning out to be a rather dangerous place to perch. I hear Marco as he sashays by my chair. I hear his chains of gold getting louder as he gets closer, assaulting me in a wave of too much cologne or hair gel or both. I've known him since the 70s and he still wears his disco chains, an aging queen from the disco era. I love him for it. The voices in the room become like muffled sound of jet engines on a long flight droning on and on. Soothing until an Alice or a Bob interrupts, like the pilot on the intercom mumbling something I can never quite understand, but startling me fully awake. All in all, it's rather pleasant to sit and absorb the sounds and scents of humanity. There is a tap on my shoulder, and despite the stuffy room, a shiver runs through me. Joe has come to fetch me. It's time to go. He helps me to my feet, arranges my hand on his crooked forearm, and he guides me to the door. He tells me, as if we're great friends, he's met some very interesting people. I just smile and nod. He leaves me for a moment while he opens the door, and I feel the freshness of the air from the hallway. I wish I had met some really great people. I wish I had met someone I could confide in. But Joe is not my son. And he makes me accompany him to parties. And he made me sign over my bank account to him. And to be old and blind is as bad as it sounds. And that every night I try to think of how a nearly blind old woman could kill a 30-something crook. Because even if I got caught and went to prison, It would be better than the prison I am in now. As we stand on the subway platform, waiting for the train back home, I remove my hand from his arm. He looks at me for just a second, but then he sees I am just searching for something in my purse. My blindness can be total any day, and if that happens, I will never get out of the dark. I drop my purse. Oh, silly me. And as Joe squats to pick it up, his back to me, my rascal of a stylish orthopedic slipper connects perfectly to his lower back and gives a shove. He tumbles onto the tracks. Oh, how lovely, the train is on time. And in the ensuing chaos of people who heard him shriek and came running, at first I thought it was to help, but then I saw their cell phones precede them. God, I love New York City. I retrieved my purse from the dirty pavement, thanking the gods above that he didn't have a grip on it when he tumbled onto the tracks. As the crowd of cell phones get closer, I oh so theatrically bring my wrinkled hand to my face. Oh, the horror of it all. People's cell phones are registering the battered body on the tracks. The police try to push them back, but some are screaming and yelling, and a police officer guides me to the side and asks me what happened. I tell her he was my attendant, my caretaker. No, officer, I'm nearly blind. I didn't see what happened. She tells me she'll arrange a ride home for me. Is there someone who can be with you? She asks. Yes, I've called my daughter. She will meet me at my apartment in an hour or so. I have no daughter. A young woman arrives. I assume she's a social worker. She leaves me as I close my apartment door, ensuring her my daughter is but 5 minutes away. She, I think, is glad to go. Finally home, I no longer have to contain my glee to be rid of Joe. I am safe and mostly sound, although some may disagree. I'm still old, still almost blind, but I'm finally alone, and I'm finally free again.